Hello and welcome to another Excel tips video. I'm Sumit Bansal, and in today's video I'm going to show you some really simple methods to delete blank columns in Excel. Now there is a right way to do it and there is also a wrong way to do it. So I'm going to cover three right ways to do this, and one method which is quite popular, and I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of tutorials recommend this method, but is not the right way to do this. So let's get started. Here I have this data set where I have these blank columns that I want to remove. Now one of the easiest way to do this is by using a helper row. So I'm going to insert a row here. So I'm going to select this entire row, right click, go to insert, and this row is inserted. Now I'm going to enter a formula here that will give me whether this column is empty or not, and using that I'm going to delete these blank columns. So the formula I'm going to use is CountA, and then I'm going to select this entire range. Now you can select the entire column if you want. In this case, I'm going to go with this range only. And now when I hit enter, it gives me a number, which is the total number of cells that are not blank. And I can copy it for all these cells here. Now see, wherever I have a blank column, this value is 0. Now in case you have some value here, some column header, and then the column is blank, you can start this formula. Instead of A2 starts with A3, so it doesn't count the headers. Now let me make this formula a little more readable. So instead of getting the numeric value, let me convert this so that I get something which is more text. So I would say, if this value, the value of the formula is 0, then give me the text blank, else give me the text not blank. And now when I hit enter, it gives me not blank for all the columns that are not empty and blank for columns that are empty. Now once I have this done, I can now select this entire data set and then go to the data tab here and then click on this sort icon. And when I do that, it opens this sort dialog box. Now here I am going to sort this data based on this row and get all the blank columns together and all the not blank columns together, so that I will be able to delete all the blank column. So what I'm going to do is click on this option here, which is options, and then click on sort left to right. And now when I click OK, it is now set to sort this data based on left to right based on this row. So here I would come and I would click on sort by and say row 1, which is my helper row, and let the order be A to Z only. And now when I click OK, you can see all the blank columns are now stacked together. So now if I want to delete them, I can select them, right click, and then click on delete. So all my blank columns are now gone, and now I can come here and delete this helper row as well. Also note that the order of your data set is not going to change, because all the values here in the helper row were the same. So when we sort this data, it only brings all the blank columns together, but it doesn't change the order of your data set. So you get your data set as is. So this is one fast way to quickly delete blank columns in Excel. Now let me show you another way to do this quickly. Here again, I have the same data set where I have blank columns that I want to delete. And I'm going to again use a helper row, but this time I'm not going to use the sort option. I'm going to use something different. So here again, I would come here, select this entire row, right click, and then click on insert. This inserts a blank new row above the header. Now I'm going to use the formula, which was if then count A, this data set is equal to 0, then give me blank, else give me not blank. Now when I hit enter, it gives me not blank for any column that is not blank, and it gives me blank for any column that is completely empty. Now instead of sorting this data, what I'm going to do is, with this selected, only the helper row selected, I'm going to use the find and replace option. So I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard and then click on the F key. So this opens the find and replace dialog box. You can also open the same thing if you go to the home tab here, and in editing you click on find and select and then click on the find option. Now in find and replace, I'm going to find only those cells that have the text blank in it. So I'm going to enter blank here, and then I would say look in values, because I don't want to look for this text in the formula. I want this as the value in the cell. And here I'm going to say match entire cell contents. And this, I'm doing this because the word blank is also there in these cells that have the text not blank. So I want the exact text to match the entire cell content. Now when I click on find all, see what happens. It finds only those cells that have the text blank in it. Now with these, only this cell is selected as of now, which is D1. So with this find and replace dialog box open, I'm going to hold the control key and press the A key. And when I do that, it is going to select all these cells that it has found. So when I do that, you can see all these cells are selected. Now I can bring this here and now I can delete them. So one way to do this is right click on these cells that have been selected, then click on the delete option. This opens the delete dialog box and here you click on entire row and then click on OK. And as soon as you do that, these would be gone. The other option would be you can use a keyboard shortcut, Control-. So when you do that, it again opens the delete dialog box and here I can click on entire column, click OK. And as soon as I do that, this is gone and you can close the find and replace dialog box. So again, this is a really fast way to quickly delete all the blank columns. Once you're done, you can remove the helper row as well. You can also use a very simple VBA code to quickly delete all the blank columns from your dataset. And this method could be useful if you want to do this quite often. So if you need to do this regularly in your dataset, you can use this VBA code and save this in your personal macro workbook so that you can reuse it on any of your workbooks. Or if you want to do this on multiple sheets in the same workbook, then you can insert a module, save the VBA code there, and then use the VBA code multiple times on the same workbook. So let me show you the method to do this. First, I'm going to click on the developer tab here. Now, if you do not see the developer tab, you can right click on any of these ribbon options and then click on customize the ribbon. This is going to open this Excel options dialog box and make sure this developer option here is checked. And now when I click on developer tab, I have all these options and I can click on Visual Basic. And when I do that, it opens the VB editor in the backend. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Alt F11. So you hold the Alt key and then press the F11 key. And this is also going to open the VB editor. Now in the VB editor, I'm going to first insert a module and then copy and paste the code that I have. So here I'm going to click on insert and then click on module. This inserts a new module here in this workbook, which is DeleteBlankColumns.XLSX. And here I'm going to paste the VBA code. Now I've already copied the VBA code, so I would simply paste it here. I will also give you this VBA code in the description of this video, so you can simply copy and use this in your workbooks. Now, once you have this code, you can come here in your dataset. And to run this code, you would have to select the data set from which you want to delete the blank column. So let me select this data, go back to the VB editor here. And when this data is selected, I can run this code. And to do that, I'm going to select anywhere in this code. So place the cursor anywhere in this code and then click on this green play button, which is to run the subroutine or run the macro code. So see what happens as soon as I run this code. It would instantly delete all the blank columns and I have my data here. So this is very fast. What you can also do is, if let's say this is something you need to do quite often, you can add this macro here in your quick access toolbar. So let me delete what I already have and show you from scratch. So here, if I want to add this macro in the quick access toolbar, I would come here and I would right click anywhere in the quick access toolbar and then click on customize the ribbon. And then here again, I have the Excel options dialog box where I'm going to click on quick access toolbar, and here from the drop down I'm going to select macros. And when I do that, it is going to show me the macro which is there available in the workbook. Now this is the same code, the module that we created. So I would select this and then click on add button here and then click on OK. And when I do that, I have this available. Now let me show you how this works. So let me insert a couple of blank columns. And now if I want to quickly delete blank columns from here, I would simply select this data set and then click on this icon. And as soon as I do that, it is going to run the macro and delete all the blank columns. Now, one important thing you need to know when you're using the VBA code is that this subroutine that you have run and the changes that it has made are irreversible. So in case you end up deleting blank columns and you need them back, you won't be able to press Ctrl Z and get it back. So make sure that you create a backup copy before you use the VBA code. Another thing is, if you are saving this VBA code here in the VB editor, so I have inserted this module here and I'm saving this VBA code in this so that I can reuse it in this workbook, then you need to save this workbook as a macro enabled file. So when you save this file, you would have to save it as a .xlsm file instead of a .xlsx file. So this is how you can use the VBA code. And as I mentioned, if you need to use this VBA code on all of your workbooks, let's say you need to do this quite often, you get these workbooks from other people and you need to quickly delete blank columns, then you can save this macro in your personal macro workbook. And I would have a link of the video in the description where I show you a video, an example on how you can enable and save macros in your personal macro workbook. And finally, let me show you another method to quickly delete blank columns. Now, this is again a very fast way to do it, but this is not the best method. So let me first show you the method and then I will show you why this is not the best method and why you should be careful while using it. So here again, I have the same data set. Now I would simply select this data and then I would hit the F5 key on my keyboard. And when I do that, it opens the Go To dialog box. You can also get the same thing if you go to the Home tab and here in Find and Select, you click on the Go To option. And in the Go To dialog box, I'm going to click on the Special button. And when I do that, it opens the Go To Special dialog box. Now here, I have already selected my data and I have the option to only select blank cells. And when I do that and when I click OK, you would see that in this data set, it has selected only the blank columns. And when I have these selected, I can quickly delete them. So I can hold the Control key and press the minus key. It opens the delete dialog box, or you right click on any of these selected cells and then click on delete. And then you click on entire column and click OK. And I have the blank columns that are deleted. Now, this works really well, but the problem in this method is that it is not selecting the blank columns, it is selecting the blank cells. So in case you have, let's say, a data set like this. Now in this case, I have blank columns, but I also have these blank cells. Now, if I use this method, let me show you the drawback that there is. I would press the F5 key, click on Special, click on Blanks and click OK. Now it would select these blank columns, but it also select these cells here. And now when I hold the Control key and press the minus key to open the delete dialog box and choose this option, it is not only going to delete this column, which is column number D and column number G, it is also going to delete column B and C because these have blank cells. See what happens? Now my data set is not what I had before. It has deleted blank columns, but it has also deleted those columns where I had a couple of blank cells. Let me press Ctrl Z to get the data back. So this is why this is not the best method to do this. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos. I've seen a lot of tutorials on the internet that recommend this method, but I do not recommend you use this because this can be error prone, especially if you have a large data set. You may not know that you have blank cells and you may inadvertently end up deleting blank columns. So don't use this method unless you are absolutely sure that only the blank cells are only there in blank columns and not there in regular data set. So these are a couple of methods that you can use. Personally, I prefer the VBA method because I can save the macro in my quick access toolbar and keep on reusing it. But in case you need to do this only a couple of times, then you can use the sort method or the find and replace method. That's it in this video. I hope you found this useful. Also, if you're liking these videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so that you never miss out on any new Excel tips video I come up with. Thank you and have a nice day.